I think we're live. All right, cool. Sweet. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the live streams for 2021. We did our first one last week with Nahid, which is a chat with coaches. And this week we are back with our regular Monday live stream, which is going to be a mix of Q&A, talking about different things and kind of seeing where the conversations go. As people submit questions or topics like that, we'll be doing more of that as we go on these live streams here. So welcome and happy MLK Day. First, I want to start off by saying, I'm back in town. I was traveling for a while, and now, it's nice to be back home, but it was awesome to travel and kind of get around. And obviously, I was wearing a mask whenever I left the car and, out in places indoors. But I did a lot of hiking and did a lot of exploring, and it was really just beautiful, beautiful places out there out west. And, you really see the beauty that the world has to offer outside of cities like DC and places like that, and really just getting to explore and, driving through, 25 states. After a while, you kind of notice patterns and things, and you see, like, in reality, we have so much more in common than we think we do. With everything that happened in 2020, all the divisive craziness that happened and continues to happen in some places, you look at all these things that polarize us, that separate us across the board, and you realize that we really do have more in common than we think we do. You have folks who believe one thing and believe another thing, but then they hate each other not because they actually hate each other, but because the other person doesn't believe what they believe. And it doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, we're still, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, we're still American, right? That's the point. Is we still want this country to be happy, to be great. We want this country to be what it could be. But I was talking with a friend of mine he's in another country. He's on China right now, and he was asking me what's happening, all the craziness happening in the U.S. That where did this racism come from? Where did this these crazy ideas come from? That America was great 10 years ago. There was no racism, nothing like that. And being from not from here, not from America, people like that tend to miss the fact that this didn't create new racism, right? It just brought to light racism that was under the surface. It was masked over by so many different things, by years of making it not okay to be racist. And then now you have someone who validates, or a set of people, an administration that validates and empowers hatred and those kind of things. And, I'm not saying Biden's the answer. I'm not saying he's the best person in the world, but he's what we have right now, and he's better than what we had before. So that all aside, happy Martin Luther King Day. Everyone, please, if you wanted to really live into those ideals that Martin Luther King lived into, let's start finding more commonality. Let's start finding ways to move forward and finding ways that we can come together as people, as a nation, as individuals who always just want what's better for ourselves and for our futures, for our kids, our children's children as we go forward, and our nephews and nieces as we go. But that all being said, that nice little PSA, we did have some questions that were submitted over time, and Hannah, I'm going to ask you to throw those up there for me, and I can go ahead and start with those. Cool. First of all, how can we network in the digital world? Good question. A lot of people are having trouble with this right now, and I actually did a presentation on this a few weeks back for the Tyson's Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to be posting clips of that through as we go through on my YouTube channel. But long story short, it's not terribly different from our networking in person. In some ways, it's radically different. So first of all, there are a lot of groups that have networking events that happen even digitally, remotely. Please don't shy away from those. Even if you think that there might not be a group that you have heard of or are familiar with, just check it out. It's worth visiting as long as it's free. Obviously, you can check it out and see what it's about. If you really like it, then jump in and join there if you feel like it'll be beneficial for you. But explore, visit different online networking groups, see what they have to offer, make some connections. But the key is to follow up after the fact. Have after conversations with folks. Do the one-to-ones. Get to know other people out there and just reach out to them. It just takes a little more effort on your part because of the fact that it's not in person. You're not going to be meeting in a bar where you can have a long conversation like that. It'll probably be a group setting. And, most of the good networking groups, they allow for breakout rooms and one-on-one networking that you can do with folks even in the meeting. But even if they don't, try to keep track of who's there and start talking to people. Just keep having those conversations. But also look at your LinkedIn contacts. Look at your Facebook contacts. Who knows what you do right now? Who knows what kind of work you do, and who might be a good contact for you? Who may not be a good contact for you directly, but just maybe someone that you want to connect with again. Reconnect with folks that you haven't been talking to in a while, and make sure that they all know what you do. So that if you do want to network and you want to be able to tap into those resources, that you have those available to you. You don't want to be the person who's like reaching out only when you need stuff, because that tends to be a little transparent and kind of frustrating. But like I said, it's a much longer conversation than that I had. It was an hour-long presentation, but yeah, that's a short story. I hope that helps whoever asked that question. But for those of you who are watching and watching live, I appreciate it. Please feel free to post a question in the comment section, and Hannah will throw that up here for me so I can answer that question for you guys. All right, how can I stay focused and motivated while working from home? Good question. It depends on the person. I'll say that, but generally speaking, you want to separate work from home as much as you can. Even though you're at home, try to create some kind of routine for yourself. I call it the mindfulness commute, if you will. Whether you're on the way to work or on the way from work. Basically, even if you live in a studio apartment, you want to create some kind of a routine that separates your work time from your home time. That way your mind can take a break and realize, okay, you know what, I'm going to relax now and not have to worry about work, versus not being able to separate the physical space. And then as a result, your brain doesn't turn off. So you're always thinking about work stuff. You want to create that kind of separation that allows you to focus your energy when you want to focus it on work, as opposed to on home stuff. That also helps with motivation, because if you're always thinking about work, if you're surrounded by work at all times, if everything's scattered all over the place and you don't have that compartmentalization physically, you can't even try to compartmentalize stuff mentally. In reality, there's no such thing as compartmentalization. We know that. But at the same time, you can at least try to do that as much as you can, so that you kind of separate home life from work life as much as you can. So that'll help with that. The other thing I would say is also just try to remember why you're doing what you're doing. If there's one thing that 2020 taught us, it's that there's a lot of reasons to do things and a lot of reasons not to do things. And it really forces you to look at things like, do I really want to be doing what I'm doing? A lot of folks have moved out of the cities, are moving into places they never thought they would move. A lot of companies are going remote full time. And you're really asking yourself, do I really want to be where I'm at right now? Physically, geographically, career-wise, relationship-wise? I mean, it's forced us to reevaluate and look at our priorities really closely. And so I'd ask you to take some time to do that and see what makes sense for you. And that'll help with the motivation as well and focus. So I hope that really helps. Where can I find inspiration when working from home? That's kind of along the same question we just asked just now. But I will say, inspiration is a strong word, and I think it's a powerful one. It's one that you need to definitely take a look at for your work, for your life in general. But if you're not inspired to do the work that you're doing right now, or if you're finding yourself needing more and more inspiration, the more work you do, that would be a reason to look at the work you're doing. Is that really meaningful to you by itself? And sometimes you don't have the luxury of doing that in the moment, but take some time to look at that. Is there something you'd be happier doing, right? Is there something that you would be more motivated to do and more inspired to do? Is the work you're doing really aligned with your values and who you are and who you want to be? That's the first question I would ask. If that answer is yes, then, and if inspiration, sorry, this is assuming inspiration refers to work. If you're looking for inspiration in other things for other reasons, this might be a longer conversation and more of a one-on-one conversation, because it's what motivates and inspires each one of us might be very, very different. But take some time to really define it for yourself. What are you doing right now, and in whatever area, whether it's work-wise, whether it's personal life, friends, family. Take some time to really think about what really inspires you, what gets you up in the morning, right? What gets you to do things that you enjoy doing, and how much do you really enjoy the work you're doing or the life you're living right now? What can you do to change that? What can you do to grow that? And it's not going to be necessarily a snap and it's done type of thing, right? I'm not saying that you need to necessarily find that over the night pill that changes everything, but it's more about just realizing for yourself and then thinking for yourself, what do I want to do about this? What can I do about this, right? Start creating a plan for yourself. If you really want to change careers or anything like that, start small, right? Start getting experience or knowledge or whatever you want to do about that direction you want to go in, and start moving that direction. It's not going to happen overnight. Most things don't. I mean, if you think about the career you're in right now or where you are right now, it took you however many years to get to where you are right now, possibly decades. And so shifting careers, shifting focus right now might take the same amount of time. So be prepared for that as well. Anything else there? Cool. How motivating employees? Okay, motivating employees is is a very broad question. Hannah, do you know if they're talking about during COVID in general, or just like in life? I'm going to focus on just during COVID, so remotely. If it's a more general thing, then it's much more complicated. But in terms of motivating employees remotely, when you're working remotely, it can seem kind of tricky. But I would say stay in touch with your employees. That's the first step. Is stay in touch with them, not just with work stuff, but just in general. I mean, you think back to when people were all in person, and this applies to any remote team, whether you're impacted by COVID or not. But whenever you're working with a remote team, you have to create intentional touch points that may have been easy to come by in the office environment, right? You walk by someone's desk, like, oh yeah, hey, what's up, Susan? How you doing? Been a while since we talked. Let's, how are you doing? How's your husband? How the kids? How's the dog? Whatever, right? But when you're remote, you don't have those opportunities to do that, to walk by and to see people and stop by and say hi and check in on folks. So you got to be very intentional about doing that on a regular basis. If you're not, then one, people might think that they don't know, that you don't really care what's going on with them. Two, you just lose touch of people, right? It's easy to feel isolated when you're working at your house all the time and no one else is around and it's just you. It's very difficult to keep that going. Hey, Natasha, thanks for joining. But yeah, it's much easier to have those touch points when you're in the office, co-located in the same place. So if you're not located with the same in the same area as your employees, and if they're working remotely, make the intention to start reaching out to them on a regular basis. And again, not just about work. If you just create that one touch point, it's just about work, that's fine. But if you want to reach out to them, ask them about their family, ask them how they're doing. Check in with them, really check in intentionally with them and their families and their personal lives as well, so you can actually be part of their life and really help to motivate them that way. Because I can tell you honestly that those employees who have bosses that care about them as people, not just as cogs in the wheel, are going to have employees who are that much more motivated and that much more willing to do work for them. So otherwise, if just a work relationship, you're not going to get the same dedication, the same commitment from them that you would otherwise. Hope that helps. Did your recent travel impact how you view your business or career? Yes, they did. Good question. So for those watching, I did travel. I was out and I drove cross country with Hachi and a buddy of mine. We went to Vegas and stayed there for about a week and a half, between Vegas and Utah. So I went hiking all over Utah. It was amazing, absolutely beautiful. My business, it really, I guess, concretely firmed. I can't speak right now. It reaffirmed, let's put it that way, some beliefs that I had in my head that I could do my business from anywhere, because I did do a lot of work from out there, and despite being on vacation, but as a business owner, you're never really on vacation. But it was fun. It was awesome seeing different perspectives, different parts of the country, both in different ways and similarities. Like you see all the beautiful mountains out there and the amazing landscapes and these phenomenal canyons and incredible places just to look at and just sit in awe. Pictures and videos do not do it justice. But for me, it reminded me of a couple of things. One is how small we actually all are individually. We are still humans, and we are very, very small. But it's something that just reminds you of that, and reminds you that you are part of a bigger thing. Hachi, yeah, Natasha. His name is Hachi, Hachi. That's my dog's name. Yeah. So, hey, Pammy, how you doing? That's my cousin. Everybody, say hi. But yeah, so my travel was reminding me of that. Also, it reaffirmed for me that we, taking a step back, when I left here, we drove out there and there was a huge blizzard on the way out. It was a huge blizzard, and part of me wanted to turn back and was like, do I really want to go out there? I don't know. Maybe not. But I was like, you know what? I really do want to go out there. Despite the blizzard, let's just fight through it and do it. And then the way back, driving back this like a couple days ago, there's another blizzard that I hit on the way coming. And I was like, it's super interesting that it just, in terms of just the way things happen, right? I mean, these places that I was driving through don't often get blizzards, but because they're relatively south. I'm talking about like Arkansas, Tennessee area. And there's not a lot of snow out there. So it was just on the way back, I hit the blizzard, and I was like, it reminded me that things there's an alignment of some things, like there are parallel experiences we have. And sometimes going out there and coming back, for me, it was like I started with a blizzard, now I'm ending with a blizzard, and it's kind of an appropriate way to end things. And I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. I'm kind of verbalizing at this point, just what I was thinking about. But for me, it's like the same thing with our experiences in life, right? We come a certain way, and we're leaving the same way. You know, we don't really have anything when we come to the world. You know, we have nothing, right? And then we're leaving with the same thing. So all we can do is make the best of what we have right now in life, in our careers, in whatever we're doing, and make the most impact we can on the people that matter to us, right? And make good connections, make strong connections, and really help folks out as much as we can. So really try to contribute to the world that we live in and be a positive influence as much as possible. And that was a much deeper feel good answer than I planned on giving, but I hope that helps. Hey Sage, how's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. So cool. Yeah. What favorite way to practice mindfulness throughout the day? That's a good question. I like that one. A couple of things that I like to do. One is built into my life, which is walking Hachi. I've turned that into a mindfulness experience for me, because I make sure I don't take my phone with me. I leave it at home. I leave any electronics at home. I want to be present with him, right? Spending time with him, taking walks with him, keeping an eye on him to make sure he doesn't eat chicken bones that are sitting on the street. Aside from that, just, making sure he's good to go, but also spending time with him and making sure it's quality time. So that's one thing. Taking walks, whether you're with a dog or by yourself, taking walks is an amazing way to just be mindful and practice mindfulness for yourself and just reflect on things, right? Reflect on yourself, on your behaviors, on what's happened in the day so far, what happened yesterday, whatever works. Journaling is also a good one. I don't always do a lot of journaling, honestly, but whenever I have time, I do try to sit down and write stuff down when I can, jotting down ideas or thoughts that I have. But even just sitting in silence, honestly, sometimes just taking some time to just relax and just shut everything else off. Don't have any sound in the background, just you and silence. And it kind of forces you to be alone with your thoughts. A lot of people tend to be scared of doing that, or just kind of avoid that because they're worried about where their minds will go. And sometimes our minds need to go certain places, honestly. I mean, sometimes we need to deal with certain emotions, certain thoughts. That's the part of things that they're coming up for a reason. They're not coming up because they're there. They're coming up because they matter to you for some reason. So there's a reason that's coming up for you. Hey, Yvette, good to see you. How's it going? For everybody who doesn't know, Yvette was the leader of the rescue that I got Hachi from. She's fantastic. So, Joe, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Yeah, Tasha, the silence is amazing sometimes. Honestly, it can be really, really empowering, really powerful to just sit in silence and really, really, be part of that. So, Happy New Year, Joe. Good to see you, man. But yeah, good question. Thanks. When is the right time to start a business? That's a loaded question right there. The right time to start a business. There's no right time. There's also no wrong time to start a business. The best time would have been 20 years ago, which is, when's the best time to plant a tree? But the next best time is right now. So if you have an idea for a business, if you want to start a business, I would say go for it and do it. But tap into your network, tap into those people that matter to you, the people that are in your life, and see, or make new connections if you can. Get mentors, get coaches, get people to connect with, and start talking to business owners right now. Learn from other people's experience as much as you can, and really try not to repeat the same mistakes other people have made, because we've all made a ton of mistakes as business owners, and a lot of us are very, very willing to go back and help other business owners to not make those same mistakes. It also is great to talk to Sage. Sage is a great resource. Sage Harper is an awesome resource. Tasha is a great resource. So is Rick. Joe is a great resource. Actually, I have a lot of great resources in my network, which is awesome. So, but yeah, talk to folks who have done it before. Talk to folks in the business world. Talk to folks who are part of your potential customer base, right? Find out if what you do, kind of almost like informal market testing. Find out if what you're looking to build or do, the offering you're creating, whether it's a product or service, whether it's really needed. Talk to folks in those areas, right? You cannot spend too much time with designating your audience, figuring out who your audience is. It's not possible to spend too much time doing that. You can spend 6 years just doing market research, and that's still going to be just exactly what you need to do, right? Because you want to validate your offer. You want to validate whatever you're creating with people that it's going to matter for, right? If you're creating a product for single mothers, for example, right? Why the heck would you ever ask me? I have zero opinion that would matter in that world, right? Talk to single mothers, right? The same way you're talking about if you're creating a product for nerds, right? Definitely talk to me in that case, right? Don't talk to me about single mom stuff. Don't talk to me about nerd stuff because I love nerd stuff and I'm a huge nerd. But find out who you're trying to make their product or service for, or who that would benefit, and talk to those folks about getting the business started. But in terms of when, anytime, honestly, there's no bad time to start a business. It also doesn't matter about the economy. People keep talking about the economy like it determines everything. The economy can be a good economy or a bad economy. It really depends on what your offerings are, right? A business in general is very vague. If it's certain business that's going to benefit certain people during certain times, then take that into account, right? But it's a matter of starting a business in general. There's no wrong time. Biggest mistake I've made as a business owner. Let's see. I made quite a few mistakes as a business owner, so hard to pick one big one. Let's see. One is spending a crap ton of money on certifications and stuff that you don't necessarily need. So that's more specific to the coaching world. You can spend a lot of money just in certifications and still be nowhere, honestly, in your business. Be intentional about where you're spending your money, where you're investing your money, because that is what's going to make the difference between whether you're successful or not. Because if you can make $1 million a year, but if your expenses are 10 million and you're only making $1 million, you're not doing very well, right? Revenue alone only tells a quarter of the story. So start with that. That's one thing I would say. Don't just be very intentional about where you spend your money, whether it's marketing, whether it's, whatever. See what you actually need. What do you actually need as a business owner? And where are you in the business ownership process? Do you need all the bells and whistles you have right now? Don't try to jump to be Google's 10-year version of Google when they started at stage 1, right? They started as just a search engine, right? But now you're talking about trying to jump into to have Gmail and have Google Maps and have all these things right away. You're comparing things that are not going to add up. It doesn't make sense. So that's one thing. Be patient and be intentional about your money. The third one is if you're going to have business partners, be very, very, very intentional about your business partners. It's one of the main reasons businesses fail is because of business partnerships failing. And there's nothing wrong with starting business with your friends. I would generally say don't start businesses with your friends if you can avoid it, because unless you're very good at creating delineations between relationships, don't do that. And do not, under any circumstances, involve your significant other in your business unless you're awesome like Rick and Natasha, and you can do that very, very well. I don't know how they did it. They did an amazing job. They're doing an amazing job continuously, but they're on a different tier than anybody else. So don't try to be like them. Just if you can avoid it, unless you guys are solid like they are, in which case then, please go for it. But be very intentional about your partnerships you create for your business, because that will make or break anything. And then also paperwork. And I say paperwork, I mean like admin paperwork, like on the organizational side of things. Be very, very careful and intentional about that. Don't skimp on attorneys. Make sure you spend. It may cost you some money, but it's going to cost you some money right now versus costing you millions of dollars later on to get stuff figured out. Hire an attorney who knows what they're doing and get your contracts written up front as quickly as possible. So that's like 5 or 6 big mistakes I made. So hope that helps. I think we have time for maybe one more. What are you thinking? What do you got, Hannah? Anyone in the audience wants to ask a question or make a comment or anything like that, please feel free. Happy to chat or about anything at this point. Memory from my trip. Oh, that's a tough one. Well, actually, no, it's not tough, actually. I loved Peekaboo Canyon. For those of you who have not been out to Utah, it is in an area of Utah called Escalante, which is a state park, not a national park. It is probably the most fun hike I've ever been on in my life. It's bouldering. It's kind of sliding between little slot canyons. It's really, really cool. Again, pictures do not do it justice, but if you can get out there, Peekaboo Canyon is really, really awesome. Definitely go check that out. It's a little bit of a drive from Vegas. You have to go up to Escalante, and then Escalante, you have to go down like a dirt road for like 30 minutes or 35 minutes. But it's really, really cool. I'm pretty sure by the time I get back out there, it'll be paved road because they're making everything a lot more modernized out there. But it is awesome. If you can do it, please do it. I plan to do it again at some point. So that was my favorite memory of the trip. Hachi was actually on the hike with me. He wasn't necessarily supposed to be, but we met a couple other folks who had dogs, and we all ended up teaming up and getting our dogs through it and became one big dog pack. So it was cool. Yeah, there you go. Hey, James, good to see you. Exactly. It's an arm and leg, but long term, it definitely will benefit you more than it will hurt you. So, a couple thousand now versus a lot more thousand later. Cool. Awesome. Well, I think that's going to call it for our first live stream of the year. If anyone has questions, please feel free to post them. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to be going through a bit of a rebranding of my YouTube channel over the next 30 days or so. It's going to be more about me, more personal type stuff. I'm still going to do a lot of leadership stuff. Still going to have a very strong focus on small businesses and propping those people up. But it's going to be a little more about travel and stuff like that as well. And also, of course, dogs. Reminder about the giveaway. We are still doing the Zenit Journal giveaway for those of folks who are watching and who are jumping on. No, still going to be same day. So Monday is going to be this stream, Monday at 7 p.m. And then Thursdays are going to be either Chat with Coaches with Nahid, or I'll be doing a small business spotlight Thursday at 3 p.m. I'll be doing a small business spotlight, which is going to be like a 30-minute to 40-minute conversation with a business owner, or it's going to be Chat with Coaches with Nahid. So keep an eye out for that. And then Monday evenings is going to be this live stream, which I do a Q&A, generally just talking through random nonsense. So that's hopefully helpful to people. But please do remember that there's that Zenit Journal giveaway. We're giving away one free journal to anyone, to folks who like the page and comment and that kind of thing. And that's going to be at the end of January. So you have time to enter that. You have another 12 days before you have to, before that we do that drawing. And Zenit Journals, if you have not checked it out, I did a live stream with her, the owner of that, Alina Liao, about a month and a half ago, I think it was, Hannah. But she was on Small Business Spotlight a while ago. She's awesome. She makes journals by hand. Like literally, she stitches them together. She picks up the fabric, she puts them together, and she stitches them. She's awesome. So if you guys want one, if you can't wait till the drawing, then go ahead to go to zenitjournals.com. I'll have Hannah throw that up on the screen. zenitjournals.com. Check that out. And if you guys want to check it out and see what kind of stuff we're going to be giving away, that's where we're getting them from. So thank you guys so much. There it is on the screen there. Thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate it. Tasha, James, Joe, Sage, Pammy, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. Yvette, thanks again so much for tuning in as well. Appreciate it. Take care. Stay safe.